Starting, and I think that we're live. All right, what's up, heathens? I'm a little orange, but that's okay. Um, so today we're just gonna be hanging out with Skeptic Mafia members. We have Chrismer and Ardoin right now in the chat. Oh crap! Hold on, there we go. Yes, so we just got these guys in here, and really this is just me hanging out with you guys, and I'm going to be telling you guys like what I've been kind of up to and what I'm going to be doing in the future and whatnot. Like what things have changed, for me, I guess, and also to catch up with you guys because we haven't hung out in like I want to say a few months. I haven't done one of these, so it needs to happen more often, and that's one of the things I'm hoping that I can do is actually promise to, have these monthly hangouts, quote unquote monthly hangouts. But so what I've kind of been up to lately, I've been really busy with the NIFB cult stuff. I've built the website. I'm currently working on getting more information into the website. I, come up with ideas for the blogs and which we haven't put a lot of blogs on that site yet, but I try to make sure to get information out to people. We've been very successful in that particular campaign, I guess. We've managed to take down, I want to say, 3 or 4 PayPals of these churches.
Oh, nice.
There's also been several Facebook accounts as well as YouTube channels that have been taken out through, everybody helping out, everybody reporting, keeping an eye out for their hateful rhetoric and reporting when necessary. So we've been very successful in that campaign. We've got a really clear picture going forward as to how we want to handle the situation. And so we're going to be, as soon as we all can talk about that and figure out the best, like what we all agree is the best way through, we're going to be putting out more information about how more people can help take down the NIFB network. And so that's going to be coming up in the next month. I've also started to take over for a app on iOS and Android stores. I am going to be the main developer. I have been the main developer of the Crestus app for a while, and I'm going to be. I've already made some changes to it and had some updates published and everything like that. But I am the person behind the Crestus app now. I've taken over development. I'm working with Richard Carrier to get more information in it and to make it better in general. We're planning on moving away from the Unity framework that it's built on right now, and I'm trying to figure out how I can build a more, I guess, stable version of it. Something that looks a lot better, that's a lot easier to use, and looks. But in my head, it's looking a lot more like type app. Sorry, Skynet's trying to break in here. sorry, Torborn. It's still a little fuzzy. I don't know what's going on. A little.
A little?
He's speaking in ones and zeros to us. Sorry, man. But anyways, we are gonna be, we're gonna be updating that app with more information. We're gonna make it look a little bit more. We're going to make it a lot better looking, and we're going to have a lot more information in it. And I'll be sort of pushing that more here on the channel for you guys to go and check it out. For those of you that haven't checked it out already, it's got a lot of great information in it. If you're not wanting to buy, Richard Carrier's full books just yet, but it not only has information from Richard Carrier in it, it's also got information from like the references that he uses and everything like that. So it's not purely just a Richard Carrier kind of app. It's made in conjunction with Richard Carrier. So I've got that going on. I'm slowly working on updating our own site here on Godless Engineer, which if you guys didn't know, I actually have a site put out for that. But currently changing the theme of the site to be something that's a lot more, I guess, developer friendly for me. Where I can do a lot more with it. And so I've been working on that. Also, just the general content of the show, which, again, this is the reason why you guys give me money each month is to support the show. I just want you guys to know what all that's going to. It's going to hosting fees. It's going to different assets and things that I buy for the websites for the channel here and everything like that. But I do want to know how you guys are liking the direction of the channel. Anybody can start first, but I would really love to know what you guys think. If you think I should change anything, if I should do one subject more than the other, or if I should lay off one subject. What do you guys think?
I like the format just fine.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I'm having fun, so.
I think like the out of context comics and the Today I Learned and Shitty Ass Science, they make your channel unique, man. I mean, it's because not everybody does that shit, and it makes it more entertaining for everybody.
Yeah, I really think so too, because I don't really see a lot of people out there having like with the comments video that I put together. I don't see a lot of people having that kind of structure to it, so I feel like that makes it unique. But I don't see a lot of people putting up like the doing like the short little Today I Learns, or just having the little funny asides like Shitty Ass Science or Out of Context comics, which I have to say I love all of the out of context comics that from people.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yes, Torborn.
Torborn, is that right?
Yeah. Hello.
Torborn, I got it, honey. I got it. Torborn.
Actually, you did. Yes. It seems my headset is totally broken, so I had to disconnect it.
Oh, okay. So, Torborn, what do you think? Do you think the channel's got a pretty good flow to it right now, or do you think there's something I need to change?
No, actually, I agree with it. It's pretty good at the moment.
Okay.
I really like this out of context comics bit, the new one. I must say.
I have to say that my favorite one so far, it's hard to pick a favorite, but that last one, the Spider-Man with the coconut man in the tree, I don't know, that was funny shit to me.
No, my favorite one was still what's his Fisto.
Well, which one?
Fisto.
Oh.
Oh no, my favorite one was still like that Iron Man was going to give Captain America some dick.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh yeah, that one.
I fisted them hard. I fisted them hard, but I could not fist them all.
I love. Yeah, that's a really good one. We got a super chat from the Butcher saying, "I think you could spend it on beer," and I guess in some respects I do spend it on beer. The money that I obtained from YouTube.
Well, you need plenty of beer doing what you do.
Yeah, which I mean, I wish I could buy better beer than Bud Light, but I mean, Bud Light, Michelob Ultra, those things have the lowest carb amounts, so that's the reason why I buy those. On occasion, I'll get more of the crafty beer, but I kind of have to watch it with those.
Oh, may I ask you a question? By the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You.
I was just wondering, G, are you a type 1 or type 2 diabetic?
I've been labeled at various times in my life. I've been labeled either one. Right now, my doctors are considering me a type 2 diabetic. So I've been focused on getting my blood sugars in the normal range for a good proportion of the time. Getting my A1C down, and I'm also exercising just about every day. I usually walk about 2 miles in the morning, every morning. So I have been trying. It's just it's a little bit harder for me, considering I have such a job that doesn't really require any kind of physical activity from me. It's been a little bit tougher, which that's not a good excuse or anything like that. But yeah, so type 2 diabetic is technically what I'm labeled.
Well, I don't even have that excuse. So
That's what my dad was actually. He was type 2 diabetic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he ended up getting which something I would not recommend is he got a gastric bypass surgery.
no,
But after he did that one thing, his gallbladder failed. And he had to have it removed, and then he can't for several months. You cannot eat normally. You have to, pretty much go on a liquid diet for quite a while.
Yeah.
And it was something he did not. I mean, it triggered his depression really bad because he couldn't eat steaks. He couldn't eat pork chops and shit that he normally liked to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's it kind of sucked. It sucked for him. But he lost about 200 pounds.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you lose weight rapidly when you have the gastric bypass because they put a band in your stomach that limits how much you can eat. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and I know someone had it done and the band actually broke, but
it's not uncommon that it has side effects on the pancreas and the gallbladder and stuff. So
yeah.
it's never a good idea if you not absolutely have to.
Yeah, the doctors recommended it because he was severely obese. He weighed about 450 pounds at the time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mic check.
Suddenly I feel tiny.
Yeah, we got you.
Mike, check out. Hey, Fletch.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to make sure I was working. Go ahead.
Yeah, we got you. We got a super chat from Space Comma saying Bud Light is rice beer, so no, don't waste this $5 on that.
And we got Jonathan.
I always say American beer is like having sex on a canoe. It's fucking close to water.
It's fucking close to water. Hey there, Jonathan.
No,
That's an old Monty Python joke.
That's an old
But,
Monty Python joke, yeah.
I feel you, man, because I've been looking for low carb beers because I was mildly interested, and
Yeah.
it's really hard to find good low carb craft beers. I found some, but really hard to find.
Yeah, generally, like with the craft beers, you're to look for low carb ones. You're really looking for like 10 grams, like a bottle, or whatnot. Or I would probably say 10 to 15 grams a bottle is what you're looking for on craft beers. Even then, that's kind of high because like Bud Light, Michelob Ultra, they have like 2, 3, 4 carbs in a whole beer. So that's why those are a little bit better for me than like the craft beers. It just means that like instead of me having maybe 2 beers, I just have like 1 or maybe half of a beer or something like that.
I'll tell
I
you
generally
something.
don't half a beer though.
I'll tell you something I used to love whenever I was an alcoholic. Absinthe. I don't know if they make any low carb absinthe, but absinthe is just, oh god, it is so good.
That sounds like poison.
Especially if you like the taste of licorice. It's really good. But
Licorice
also
is disgusting.
What?
Licorice is okay. Licorice is disgusting.
I fucking love licorice. What the?
That sounds like something you would give to somebody to poison them.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah, absinthe does sound kind of. Yeah.
Maybe American licorice, but our licorice is actually kind of cool.
I love black licorice. I don't know what y'all talking about.
I actually haven't had black licorice in a while, so I don't know what it tastes like. I know as a kid I didn't like it, but I mean, taste changed. When I was a kid I didn't like mustard, but I love the fuck out of mustard now.
Well, I'm allergic to mustard seed, so.
Oh, you are?
That
Yeah.
sounds like a personal problem to me.
He only found that out when I
I,
was a
Hey,
kid.
I'm allergic to cheese and dairy kind of products, but in that same sense, I still had pizza yesterday.
Well,
I'm so glad that I'm not allergic to anything.
Lucky.
Lucky as hell.
I'm mainly
Yeah.
allergic to idiots.
I have to have luck in something, you know.
Let's see. Another member in the chat, the butcher, asked, "How about coffee, GE? Do you drink?" Yeah, I do. Not during the summer, really. I haven't really been drinking it, but during the winter, I love to drink coffee in the morning. And I'll usually. There have been times when I've really needed to pick me up, so I'll drink like 2 cups when I'm at work. But I do drink coffee.
I thought it was
Do you
impossible
prefer
to be an
iced coffee?
engineer without drinking coffee.
Yeah, it's pretty standard.
Do you like drinking iced coffee, G?
I haven't really had iced coffee. I don't know. I might like it, but I know KC, she likes iced coffee. But I haven't had a lot of luck with iced coffee.
Preferably for me, as long as it's blended up in this little tiny chunks, I really don't care. It can be hot, it can be cold. I'll drink it either way. Doesn't matter if it's freezing cold outside or if it's boiling hot.
Yeah, I don't know. For the hotter drinks, like if I'm already hot, it like I don't know, it makes me uncomfortable. So that's why I don't drink it. But to each their own.
I like cold brew coffee.
Cold brew, sorry.
Not iced coffee. There's a difference.
Right.
There's a big difference
Okay.
there. John.
Yeah, I love
There's a
frappuccinos.
big difference.
I freaking love frappuccino now.
Oh, see, I'm not a
Hi,
I
Casey.
don't like the milkshake, like the shake ones, like frappuccinos. I don't like those. I like the really super strong stuff. Hi, y'all.
Hi,
Do you put
Casey.
espresso in
Hey,
your
Casey.
coffees?
What was that?
Do you put espresso in your coffee?
Yes. KC does. Yeah. Generally, the type of coffee that KC drinks is the espresso roast. So she
okay.
likes espresso. I like it too. I mean, honestly, I can't really tell a difference. I'm not that much of a coffee aficionado or whatever. Like, I'm not
So I
that.
saw a
interested
how-to
in
video on how the way you're supposed to actually drink coffee. You take a spoon, you fill it up slightly, even if it's hot, you slurp it so that every little atom of particle of the coffee bean makes it across your entire palate of your tongue, and you can actually taste the roast really well.
Oh, really?
Well, that sounds hella fancy.
It is. I
Do
mean,
you have to
you
put
gotta
your
be a coffee
pinky out when you
connoisseur.
do that?
Say again?
Do you have to put your pinky out while you sip from the spoon?
Of course.
If you want.
So sorry, I'm not trying to make fun or anything. I just like when I was thinking about that, I'm like, I'd put my pinky out if I did that.
Yeah. So it really matters on how you want to slurp it. But you just want to
Yeah.
get it across the entire palate of the tongue at the same time. Basically, it gives you more of the aroma flavor. And I mean, and if you buy the shitty coffee, you're gonna definitely taste all the dirt that's in it.
I like my coffee without the taste of coffee, so cream and sugar is a must.
Yeah.
So you like milk coffee?
I'm a boring tea guy.
Hey, tea can be pretty good and different.
You see, I love tea. I love tea too.
Oh, tea. Tea's awesome.
We've got various flavors here. Normally, I like this peach tea that I make sometimes. But for the most part, like what I've got at work right now is this like it's like some kind of blueberry green tea or something that was made. And it's all right. Generally, I'll drink tea in like the afternoons or something.
By the way,
Yeah,
how you
but
doing, Casey?
What was that, Fletch?
I was just saying hello to Casey.
Oh,
Hi. Sorry, I wasn't in the room.
it was Fletch. He said,
Oh, hi, Fletch.
Hey, Casey.
"Oh, look, we got Chris Kelly in here. How you doing there,
Ooh,
Chris?"
Chris going.
Okay, I don't know if he heard.
Getting a full bunch, yeah. But no, but I usually drink green tea or white tea. I have discovered white tea. It's actually really good.
Oh, really? I haven't heard of white tea. Sounds
Well-
a bit
yeah,
Racist. Racist. Wow.
It makes you feel any better. Black tea is the most popular tea.
Oh, okay. Black tea is the most popular tea, so it's like inverse
Yes.
racism.
Well, I like
Yeah.
It's
it's like
Right.
I like to drink the racists.
These are
Alrighty
racist
then.
tears.
I love me
So-
some Earl Grey now. Earl Grey is
So I can piss them out, you know.
So one of the things that I'm planning on doing, and I think I've mentioned this in maybe a live stream recently, is the Mike Winger and Mike Kona had a whole hangout over whether or not Jesus existed. And I know that's not exactly the most popular subject here on the channel, but it is one that I'm pretty passionate about. But I'm planning on doing like a response to their thing. So that's going to be coming up in the next month, along with all of my regular content.
Sorry, G.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Is that going to be a hangout, or is that just going to be an edited video?
Well, I'm planning on it being just sort of an edited video. I was gonna just make a very pointed like response to each one because they bring up a lot of popular sources for Jesus, but they're not looking at it critically, and I really don't understand why these people act like it's such a ridiculous idea that Jesus may not have existed. Like they use that as an argument to not even address the thing. But also, it's really hard for me to believe apologists like Mike Kona and other people like him because they also use the same caliber of evidence to prove that Jesus rose from the dead. And like that's just you can't like if you can use the same caliber of evidence to both prove that Jesus rose from the dead and he existed. I mean, I feel like I have to question whether or not that evidence is like legit. And obviously, you know, plenty of people are going to disagree that Jesus actually rose from the dead. But you know, people are a lot more lenient with granting historicity. But I feel like I've got a pretty firm foundation in arguing against the idea of historicity. But then again, you also have to understand that I'm saying that he probably didn't exist and that I don't know for sure. A lot of people want to ascribe me as saying I 100% know he didn't exist. And when in actuality, it's he just probably didn't exist. And most of the time, I just say, well, you know, Jesus didn't exist or something like that as a colloquial version of saying it. But most accurately, it's he probably did exist.
Yeah. I think he probably was a combination of different local myths
Yeah.
sort of brewed together.
Probably.
Yeah, that's actually one of the biggest points about early religions is I want to say the term as cosmopolitanism, and that's just the fact that there were these trends that were going around, and those trends shaped how people thought about their religion. And so like it helped shape the Jewish religion, it helped shape the Christian religion. You know, it all of these things were using trends of the day in order to explain their religion. And so that's why I heavily disagree with a lot of people out there, like Inspiring Philosophy. It says that Christianity was not influenced by other religions. It's like you realize that Egypt is like an integral part of the Old Testament as well as a very important part of the New Testament, right? Because like at one point Jesus flees Jerusalem to go to Egypt for however long, and then he comes back. I believe that's Matthew's story. Luke doesn't have that obviously, but it's still an important part. Huh?
Didn't Joseph and Maria take Jesus to Egypt for his first few years?
Well, yeah. So that's in Matthew.
Yeah.
And the reason why that happened is that the Matthew origin story for Jesus is a mirror of the Moses story in, I believe that was Genesis or Exodus. I think it was Exodus.
Exodus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a mirror of Moses's origin story. So that's why they fled to Egypt, and then Jesus returned from Egypt. It's sort of symbolic in a way.
I hear a weird whistle.
Huh?
I hear something whistling. Is that just me or?
I don't hear a whistle. I heard somebody tapping.
That was Jesus whistling at you.
You need to understand, I don't suck dick for anybody. So Space Kamikama has a super chat that says, belief is a subset of knowledge. I believe he existed, but do not know. And I'm perfectly fine with that. He corrects himself saying, oops, knowledge is a subset of belief. However you want to put that, I'm perfectly fine with people, believing that Jesus was a real person. But I just contend the consensus of that, and I feel like I can prove my point. So I don't ever look down on anybody. I'm not one of these assholes out here that just can't get past the fact that other people believe different shit. I don't know. It really perplexes me when people can't they can't get past the fact that other people have different beliefs. And I don't care if somebody believes it or not. Just like with God belief, I don't care if somebody believes.
No, it was my phone.
Oh, okay. I don't care if anybody believes in a God or not. Or really, it really comes down to when they start putting out oh, this definitely proves God exists, or this definitely proves that Jesus existed, and then I'll come back with my own particular position on those things and why they don't convince me and others. But that's just how I do it.
Hey, G, my phone's about to die, and I have to go back to work. But I just wanted to say thanks. You guys have a good one. You too, Casey. Have a good one.
Bye,
Fletch.
Bye, Fletch.
Yeah,
day at work.
Time, man. Yeah, we got Fight the Flat Earth in the chat over here. He's a member as well. Thank you for joining the chat there, Fight the Flat Earth.
Oh.
Hey, did anybody realize yesterday was the longest day of the year?
Yeah, who cares?
Well, Greg's here. Greg.
No, he's just in the chat, I think. But hey, Greg.
Wow.
Or FF. Or Fight the Flat Earth.
Yeah.
Or let me see, where is it? Where?
My English is too bad to spell
I
it
got
out every time.
I got a lot of noise in the background. That's why I'm staying muted until I actually have something to say.
Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah.
I had to get my ASCII up.
Chris, now I asked everybody beforehand, if they like the direction the channel's going, with all the segments that I have on the channel. Are you in agreement? Do you like where it's going? Do you think I could do something different to make it better?
Well, I kind of cherry pick on the segments that I watch. If it's something that I don't particularly want to deal with because either I don't have any kind of argument or agreement, I'll generally, the Bible study, even though I think it's, I've seen a few of them and I think they're kind of interesting. Seeing it on a regular basis, it's just not something that's really piquing my interest. But more of the things where you're proving the world that we live in. And I've talked to you before on this on Lightly, is the fact that I am a Christian. I do believe in God. I do believe in Jesus. But I don't let that dissuade me from being able to take a look at a scientific fact and say, okay, well, yeah, I recognize that we live in this vast universe. We don't know where it came from. We're still discovering it, and that type of thing. Yeah. So that's kind of what the position I take. And so where you're going with it, I don't really have a problem with what you're doing with it, because one, it's your channel and you're presenting your views and so on and so forth. And what I particularly don't want to listen to for whatever reason, just because I'm in a bad mood that day or what have you, I wait till you come out with the next segment. So.
Yeah. No, I'm very glad that you've got that position on it, because I wish more people had that position, because I'll regularly get the comments in the comment section being like, you shouldn't do this or something like that, and so it's always funny whenever somebody says that. But no, so I take it that you're more interested in the anti-science sort of debunking, right?
I am. It's just, and I don't have a problem with doing a religious debate. It's just I have a very specific view that I have not been able to do anything other than by faith. I don't have any physical proof. I guess you could say I kind of go off of what Carl Sagan did with Flatland, with the interdimensional beings, where the flat person can only perceive one slice of the three-dimensional being. The being gets upset when he can't talk to it, so he kicks him up in the air. He comes landing down in the middle of the town, and his friends are like, "Where'd you come from?" And he's like, "I can't point to up because I don't know what up is or where it is or anything like that." It's kind of how I look at what we are. God is in a different dimension. He's in a higher dimension. That us working in the scientific method gets us closer to understanding that. And once we do understand that, that's when the rapture is going to happen, and basically we join them and stuff like that. But it's all a learning process for us, and that's why I wholly believe in the scientific method and finding out who we are and what we're doing here and stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically what I think on religion.
Okay.
He says more nudes and belly dancing.
FTF, he wants more nudes and belly dancing. I swear.
Yeah, that is probably when I'll start to complain in the comments, like, GE, I don't like the direction you're going.
Let's see. Fletch did a super chat saying, "Sorry, GE, phone was about to die and at work. Someone else can join. Plus, I can shill better from the computer." So I do have to say that I really appreciate that, even though like Chris here is still a Christian, a religious person in general, that they can still enjoy my content. I have thought about focusing more on like anti-science sort of rhetoric, but it always interests me how the anti-science crowd usually intersects with like a religious sort of thought process on things, and just a rejection of science in general in lieu of or in preference to a religious sort of explanation of things. So I'm going to try to start doing more anti-science stuff where I can find it. It's just with YouTube's algorithm right now, sometimes it's really hard to find videos where that kind of stuff is being discussed. And the flat earth crowd right now, I don't know if they're just, I don't want to say they're losing steam, but like with the flat earth people, I don't know, they're not making a lot of just single use videos. I just find like a lot of like 3-hour hangouts where they just bullshit with each other.
Yeah, I've seen those too.
Yeah.
I've noticed that as well.
Maybe they're like kind of like videoed out in that sense, because they might become sick of being not so necessarily being debunks, but being called assholes and stupid and idiots.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with people doing that at all. I mean, I enjoy that content when they do it, but I kind of feel like that might have scared them off a bit.
But
maybe.
I think so too. That's exactly what I feel.
But
well, no, go ahead.
I was just thinking that, isn't it true that YouTube has also started clamping down on conspiracy theories, and so they get downgraded so we can't see them?
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about with the algorithm. When you go into search, there for a while when you went into search and you sorted by upload date, it would still give you videos that like it started off with a video posted 4 years ago or something like that. So in the past, it's been a little difficult to find like most recent like flat Earth videos, but it's been getting a little bit better with the search. So I've been able to find some things, but there are a lot of channels out there that people are just tired of hearing from, like that flat Earth Aussie Jesus. Like everybody's bored with him now because
It was fun for a while there. I mean, he's the one that believes the mountains are the trees, right?
yeah, well, mountains are trees, giants molded the moon out of some kind of bubbly substance in the center of the earth, and then threw it, I don't know, with some kind of light gas
Wasn't
inside.
that created the Grand Canyon as well?
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious if Aussie Jesus actually believes that Australia is real.
Yeah,
am I real or not?
You probably convince them otherwise.
I just can't believe that there's still people who believe in the flat Earth. That still shocks me that people believe that shit.
Oh, what about like Flat Out? I mean, he's obviously a Pope, and the fact that, but the stuff he presents would be right along that algorithm. You'd think that would be killing. You wouldn't be able to see any of his posts or anything like that. But I actually enjoy whenever he does post one because I'm sitting there dying laughing. Yeah. I don't know if it's just because he's doing ridiculous things or what.
Well, I think that Flat Out's content is interesting because it's very creative, and I mean it's making fun of the whole flat Earth position, but he's doing it in a very creative and funny way, and so I think that's probably why his content does as well as it does. Because, I mean, really, ultimately, YouTube reacts to how much engagement and how much people watch your stuff. So, I mean, if you like Flat Out and you watch his entire video, you comment or you like or something like that, all of those are positive signals to YouTube. But then YouTube also is trying to teach its algorithm to learn how to discern when somebody is really saying that the world like is flat or that gravity doesn't exist versus like debunking and parody type stuff.
That's tough.
Yeah, it is. And they're working on it. It really requires people to not necessarily report, but like dislike. It really heavily requires like the whole dislike and like and all that kind of stuff. Like it requires signals to the algorithm for them to be able to start discerning that. We do have another super chat from Space Kama saying understanding God like that is the best way, but most fundies are going to call you a weasel. And that's kind of odd how, reasonable Christians, reasonable religious people in general that, accept, the scientific method and accept that science can tell us a lot about our world, y'all get really attacked by the fundamentalist crowd and the growing crowd of like creationists out there. And it's so weird to see the Christian movement sort of attack itself in that way.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, but even from a Christian perspective, I can understand why you would believe in a flat Earth, because it would limit the power of a god so much. Instead of a vast universe with all these planets and stars and etc., he created a flat plane with a dome around it and some lights on the dome.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems so much less powerful than an all-powerful, all-knowing God. In my mind, even as a Christian, I believe that he created the entire universe with all the planets and the stars. And that's, to me, a flat Earth kind of limits the power of a God.
But isn't the problem there the fact that they can't separate their holy book from their God? So
yeah, that's That's mostly it. Yeah.
I mean, I was in my teens when I figured out that logically God had to be either the entire universe or outside of the universe. Anything else is a reduction of an almighty.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah.
But
Well,
does it follow the
Chris,
book?
can you put yourself on mute, please?
what was that, Jonathan?
Hey, Chris, can you put yourself on mute, please?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Well, I was actually kind of curious what Chris had to say about the Christian community sort of attacking itself on the whole, scientific aspect, creationism versus the rest of the Christian community.
Well, basically, I don't care what they think. Because one, they're not going to dissuade me from my own personal beliefs and what I have experienced and what has been nurtured, indoctrinated, whatever. I don't even think it was indoctrination because it's more of a this is the love of God. This is how we better ourselves. This is and it's not so much taking orders from a big space daddy as someone told me one time in a chat, as is this was the rules that were set up. You follow them, you can have a productive life, but doesn't necessarily mean that you have to limit yourself to something that's very narrow in scope. And you expand your wisdom, and you can better interpret and know what it is to be human rather than having to rely on someone who says they're religious and more in tune with God, which I don't think they necessarily are. But I mean, it's as far as someone telling me that, some fundamentalists tell me that, oh, geez, I don't believe what they believe, so I'm going to hell. It's like, I'll see you there, no problem.
Yeah, I really appreciate the whole position of like I have my faith, and I believe what I believe, and that's just me. Because like I sort of take that position too. Because like I have. I don't believe in a God. Like, I don't think that one exists. But then again, I'm perfectly fine not interjecting that on other people. Like, I'm not going to sit here and berate, like, Chris just because he thinks or that he's religious. I'm not going to sit here and do that because, he's got his faith, and it's really none of my business what he believes. But my problem is like with the fundamentalists and other people that try to push like God belief on other people. That's where I generally have a problem. And I would hope that most people out there would not just aimlessly attack, like religious people either in the chat or something like that. SJ Thomason, she attacks people just on her own. She goes out of her way to be a dick.
SJ's a bitch.
See, you didn't even
Who is
have
this
to
person
use that
again?
word. He just needed two.
Yeah, he did.
Three. She's a bitch.
No, I prefer Betty Bowers.
Betty Bowers.
Betty
Yeah.
Bowers.
If you know who that is.
You know who Betty Bowers
Betty Bowers is funny.
It's a satirical Christian
Yeah.
woman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know Betty Bowers. She's got some pretty funny shit.
The best. Well, is it the America's Best Christian or something like that?
That's it.
Yeah.
When there's one video when she explains what a biblical marriage is, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It looks like we got Michael Dean coming in. Hey, how you doing, man?
Good morning.
Good morning or afternoon. It's afternoon for me.
It's 5:30 in Japan.
Oh wow, you're in Japan?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And you're up really early too, huh?
Ohio Gozana-san.
You work on a military base, you wake up early.
Oh wow. Yeah, a few years ago, I actually had to make a trip out to Okinawa, and that was really interesting.
I've been there twice in the last 3 years. So.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, just wanted to say hello. My name's Michael, by the way, everyone.
Yeah. Hey, Michael. It's good seeing you, man.
It's good to be here. I've enjoyed your content for quite a while now, so I appreciate everything you do.
Oh, thank you. I always like meeting people that have been watching, the stuff that I do. It's still strange to me, meeting people that actually watch my content because they think it's good.
Oh man, I've been a ukulele fan for years, so anytime I can
Wish I could go to Japan. I've always wanted to go to Japan.
Hey, don't encourage him playing that ukulele.
I've tried figuring out how to actually play, and I just don't think that I used to play trumpet, but
you're right on it, man.
I'm right on it. Okay, I know.
Well, and really, for especially the segments you do, considering who you're talking about, it couldn't be more perfect than So,
but I find your singing very useful, I must say.
Oh yeah.
I use it to scare away birds from my balcony.
I don't know. Whenever you start singing, I just hear cats meowing outside. I don't know why.
Yeah, man, my cat loves it.
Yeah. Okay. So when I was growing up, I used to play trumpet, and so every time I'd practice, my stepfather would be like, "Oh, look, there's geese in the sky honking at us. It must be John out in the back shed calling the geese."
Hey.
I took up the clarinet because my parents didn't want to hear me honking on the saxophone. So that was kind of a choice that was made for me. But I ended up sticking with that up through college. So
I played the trombone in high school. The old trombone.
I played the drums, but the
Nothing
teacher
at all.
wouldn't let me.
I love
Maybe
playing
everybody could send a recording of their worst playing, and then John can mash it all together for some segment.
And actually, there's footage from my old marching band days on YouTube. I got to find those videos again. Of the
Everybody's been asking me when my Christmas album is going to drop. I don't know. I feel like if I tried to actually make a song, it would just be horrible.
I think you should work with Kyle to make a Christmas album.
Oh, I should work with Kyle to make
Shannon to make a Christmas album.
Oh yeah,
I'll be the ukulele talent.
Yes, but Shannon can actually sing, so you won't fit in with her.
I won't fit in. Shannon can actually sing, so I won't fit in with her. Thank you, honey.
Damn it.
Yeah, there are times when I sing like an angel. Thank you very much.
I love your singing.
Like a dying angel, probably.
A dying angel.
They love you. They really, really love you.
Oh man. Okay, we got a member in the chat that brought up something. The Random Explorer. He says, "What are your thoughts on the Alabama church police?" I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but in Alabama, they've actually passed a law where churches can have their own private police force.
What?
That's the worst idea I have ever heard.
Okay, but
the only thing I could think of that would be for protecting against the church burnings and stuff like that. But I don't even know if Alabama was involved with that. That was more of a Georgia thing. So, but that just, are we talking armed? And
yes, it's armed.
To protect and serve our Lord.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I have heard of a few worse ideas, but then again, I'm from a country that once invaded Russia in winter, so.
Well.
Oh man.
But what for? What for? Is it to protect the church itself, or is it to round up non-believers and stash them into the
That's
church
what I was
prison?
thinking. That's what I
No,
was
no.
thinking.
Think of it like it's a lot like a college campus. Like you know how
Okay.
a college campus has their own private police force or their own private security. I
Well,
think
not here, but sure.
Huh?
Well,
So
at least not police force, but security, sure, yeah. But
Right.
Basically mall cops for the church.
Yeah, well, I think they're actually branding it as like an actual police force because if you guys don't know, the Creation Museum has its own police force. Like it's got like a badge and everything on their cars. Like I thought that it was like legitimately like state police or something. And it's like Creation Museum. I'm like, holy shit! They have their own. Don't give these people guns. This is not a good idea.
is it a badge and the insignia is a little arc or something like that?
No, actually, well, I didn't see any of the police. I think it was still just Creation Museum police people at the Ark, maybe. I can't remember if I saw any there, but at the actual Creation Museum, I mean,
man riding
state troopers.
Please don't get
a
them.
man
Please
riding a dinosaur as an insignia or something.
Oh my god, that would be so crazy if they had like a little motorcycle dressed up like a raptor.
Or
We don't have the Bible does not say that Jesus didn't ride a velociraptor. Just saying.
Prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong.
Fred Flintstone's the chief of police there.
Well,
you know that railroads can have their own police force too. You know, so I mean, there may be some precedence with that, but I kind of, I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I want to say,
but
yeah, security. Yeah,
I'm saying I can see security. That's understandable.
Well, I want to say the FBI was actually formed out of like having private security for railroads. Was
it the Pinkertons?
Yeah, the Pinkertons. They provided security for the railroad system and everything like that, and I want to say that organized sort of thing eventually became the FBI.
Well, I mean, like Union Pacific has the Union Pacific Police Force. It is not a hired security agency or whatever. They're sworn police officers hired by Union Pacific. Let's see, Santa Fe, Burlington Northern Santa Fe, same thing. All you need to do really is to have I think it's 3 miles of track and a piece of rolling stock on it, and you could become your own police force.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I should be here next Saturday.
That's really interesting. Although I think the reason why they had the police forces here, like for like church police forces or whatnot, is probably to deter like church shootings or something. Like I'm wanting to say that that's probably the reason why. I can actually look up the article.
I was thinking exactly that, because there have been a lot of church shootings recently.
It's interesting, just the choice of word. They use police as opposed to security, and so and being a person who works with words matter and how people perceive what the intent is, or they just assume. I mean, not that we don't deal with people who would make assumptions all the time, but
you've got
the
correct
choice of words.
Yes, it's the word itself.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
My father was a police officer in LA when I was growing up, so I mean, I understand the role, and so I was curious about what does their jurisdiction extend to the curb or what? I mean,
so go ahead.
I mean, here we do have railroad police, but they're not hired by the train companies. They're actually just national police officers with the specific goal to be a police force for the railroad.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, having police, especially for the railroads, is a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Since it moves through jurisdictions.
Yeah, they also have like police stations on some train stations, so that they can easily someone who was like driving without a train ticket and then being a bit of a hassle against train conductors and sometimes even beating train conductors. They can easily like arrest someone and do shit like that. They can do more than their own security.
But the very idea of a private police forces like you have in the United States is insane to me.
To me too, yeah.
Me too, but I'm an American, sadly.
So, according to friendly atheist Hemet Mehta, it's more about like what kind of restrictions are put on this police force. Like the law apparently would allow them to cover up criminal activity. Like if you think about the amount of sexual abuse scandals in churches, if they have their own like police force, then you'd report the crime to the police force, and then the police force could effectively cover it up. There's no clear like oversight over these individual police forces. Like who would investigate the police force if they were potentially like covering up or doing unlawful things. So it's really more about the vagueness of the law as it's passed and how things should be handled for these police forces if they end up covering things up. Because I mean, to be quite honest, a lot of church organizations and institutions have a very bad history of trying to cover up illegal activities that are done in their church for the primary purpose of not embarrassing the church. That's what they care the most about. And I feel like these are legitimate concerns that they have over the law. It's not necessarily like, oh, why do you need a police force? Just hire, the normal police. It's not really so much that. It's just what does this potentially open up, to, being allowed under this police force. And huh? Who is? Oh, okay.
I mean, I checked it now. The law text for this thing actually states that these persons shall be charged with all the duties and invested with all the powers of police officers. So it's not just security; it's full.
Yeah.
They can perform arrests. They don't have to do citizen arrests. They could. They have the power to investigate. They have the power to imprison. Imprison them where? I don't know. Down in the church basement. I don't know. But
the church prison. Can you imagine?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Church jail, just like regular jail with more preaching.
So that's kind of scary that you would give. But by the same token, they should be there to uphold the laws of the church. I mean, that'd be their primary duty. And it's even with our own police forces, they're here to enforce the laws. But I mean, there is corruption. I'm not in everything, but I mean, there are cases where there's corruption and abuse of power and stuff like that, and you need checks and balances for that. And so the only thing I can think of is that the people that they're investigating are the ones that are in charge of being part of the checks and balances. That doesn't seem to hold up very well. And the only thing I can think of is the next diocese higher. And they would ultimately have to be reporting to some community police force that would be there to hold the American laws or well, since how we're talking about Alabama, the Alabama laws and the American laws and stuff like that. So.
It says that those people have to be certified by the Alabama peace officers system. So
that's a good
Did anybody
question.
hear about Furry Potato being shot by a synagogue?
what?
No.
So yeah, Furry Potato got shot in the leg by a synagogue security officer. It was about maybe 2 or 3 months ago now.
Oh wow, I hadn't heard of that.
Yeah, I'm more of an activist on the First Amendment, so yeah, I watch a lot of those kind of videos.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
especially
I'll
your
have to
right
look into
to
that.
record in public, especially what you did a week or two ago when you went up and recorded those protesters.
Oh,
There's
okay.
police that will actually come out and try to stop you from recording.
That's weird. Yeah, I'm glad nobody tried to stop me from recording because that would have just turned ugly quick. So, but Fletch in the comments here, he used to be a cop, and it says that any private police, depending on the state, would have to go through some kind of academy or training to be certified. And apparently the federal agency would do those types of investigations if there was reasonable suspicion of the police force covering up crimes. But I guess my issue with it is that right now there's a reverence for like church officials and church leaders and everything like that. Like there's this reverence of, well, you can't say that about them because they're men of God and all this other stuff. So I'm just wondering, like in practice, how that would relate to this police force. Like would more people be deterred from reporting the police force to a federal agency because they're a church police force or because they are, I don't know, somehow protected by God or something? I'm not sure. I just don't know how the perception of the parishioners would change for that particular security force or police force or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm also kind of wondering that how good is the police academy going to be? Because I've heard that in America some police academies aren't always that wonderful.
That's putting it mildly. That's putting it very mildly.
Yeah, well, the police, the general police in general, has problems all over America, and there's been many investigations that have been done into the state-run police or the local police and whatnot, and have found racial biases and all this other stuff. There was actually there was like a whole town that was controlled by fundamentalist Mormons, and they ran the town as a theocracy. This is, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, when all of that kind of came out in the news. But they were running a theocracy in a town, and like if you weren't part of that fundamentalist group of Mormons, you weren't allowed to live in those towns. I think it was 2 of them,
including the whistling.
The whistling, goddamn, that would bug me the fuck out.
I'm curious actually, how long of an education or training do police in the U.S. have? Is there a standard or rule about that?
Each state, each town. Well, usually in Connecticut, you have the State Police Academy, which is actually a pretty good program, because they do physical endurance as well as study the law, and because they gotta understand what they're protecting, and how far they can go and stuff like that. And then we have a lot of towns that will send their officers to the state academies, or a state academy. We're not big enough to have more than one, but they will go in. They won't go for the full program, but they'll go to, let's say, determine how to handle a hostage situation or something like that, and then they become specialists in the town. And then there's resident state troopers and stuff like that are kind of like constables. But that's a whole nother issue. But I mean, so at least in Connecticut, it stems from the state. In another, something like Virginia or Maryland, where you got this weird little chunk stuck out of or carved out of both of them that forms Washington D.C. I don't know how they handle that, because that's not a state, it's not a town, it's just a parcel of land that holds the state capital, but yet they have a mayor and who has been convicted many times on drugs, and stuff like that. So
I've heard that it's kind of weird anyway there, because I understood that it's also weird with local city laws there in Washington D.C.
Right.
Like they can't really vote for city laws.
Yeah, it's really a weird situation. That's why it's a district. It's not a city. It's not a state. It's not anything.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about it.
Location. It depends on your. It's a small rural town. If it's a county, if it's a state. I mean, some require just a high school diploma. Some require more and more requiring at least two years of college. My dad went to the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department Academy. That was like 9 months of training before you even hit the street. So I mean, it really depends. A lot of people forget. They say United States of America and the federal government as one thing, but you got to remember that we're actually 50 states. I mean,
and then counties
and there's 50, and then city, and so there is a mishmash. They do all have to work together, jurisdictions, but then that's where another conflict comes in. Like, oh, this is an easy case. We'll take this one. Oh, this is a shitty case. Here, we'll give it to. It depends on who the sheriff is. Depends on who's in charge. So and as with all human endeavors, there's going to be corruption. There's going to be ineptness. There's going to be great people doing the job too. It's just humans is subject to who's involved.
I can only compare it to Sweden, where we have, before they can even be called a police officer, you have 3 years of high school education specifically for that.
Yeah, I don't think it's high school here. I think it's one step above high school here, but I think it's like it's I think it's about 2 years, 3 years here. Yeah. And probably they're already have been on the street in those 2 years with someone who's actually a police officer and et cetera. But before they're an actual policeman, I think 2-3 years. Yeah.
Most major metropolitan police forces, as a rookie, you're teamed with a senior officer for a minimum of 2 years or something like that too, and then you're eligible to either be on your own or supervise someone else.
Yeah, I have a friend that was a police officer. I don't know what he's doing now, but he really shouldn't have been a police officer. Like, he has poor decision skills. I'm just saying, like. We did have a super chat about the church police thing from the butcher saying, do they wear God's armor underpants or actually wear a bulletproof vest? I would hope that they actually wore a bulletproof vest.
The special underwear is only if they're Mormon.
Yeah, Kevlar underwear.
Yeah. No, only do the Mormon underpanties prevent bullets.
Gotta protect your junk.
No, but that was what I was thinking of right away when you saw those photos of the first service in the Notre Dame again after the church burned down, and all the priests were wearing helmets against the debris, and I was like, okay. Those people are so religious. I'm not talking about regular Christians, but these priests are so religious. Shouldn't they have enough faith to go about it without those helmets? Because they should believe that, if it does fall on their heads and kills them, that was God's choice.
They probably would say that, but then the Templars were probably saying, "No, we can't protect you as well as you think we can." So we're wearing that.
We get another Space Kamikama super chat. Police in general is fine. There are always going to be anomalies due to personalities. I'm tired of the rhetoric demeaning them in general. Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of good cops out there.
Sure.
The issues with the police force do not make up the entire police force. So I didn't mean to paint like a broad brush or anything like that with the police. It's just that there are some serious issues with some police forces out there, and but I mean others are perfectly fine. Like I don't know, I think our local police force around here I think is fine. Although I've never really been on a negative receiving end from the police force, but like I've never really had any kind of big trouble. Which we've never had any big controversies or anything like that around here. So I don't know. I don't know what goes on, but usually interactions have been pretty pleasant down here.
I live in Guilty County, and what's really, really, really bad around here is you get pulled over. The first thing they do is assume that you're guilty. You have to prove to them that you did nothing wrong before they let you go. So it's horrible around here. I seriously, whenever I ask an officer how they like working here in Guilty County, they laugh at me.
Oh wow!
I don't know. I usually have taken a different attitude. The other, about 2 weeks ago, one of my town police officers pulled me over, and it's like I'm trying to figure out why he pulled me over. And he came up and he asked, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And I said, "No." And he says, "Your car isn't registered." And I was like, "Okay, well that was news to me, And so he sat there, spent 10 minutes showing me how to go online and register the car. Got the car registered, and everything was fine, So
there are people there who have like a passion for the job they're doing, and they want to do their job as good as possible. So yeah, of course, there are plenty of good cops. I dare to say most cops are probably good cops.
I'll tell you one bullshit story on what happened to me recently. I had a friend that had a permit, was driving my car to learn, how to drive, and he had someone with a license with him. Well, the police pulled him over right in front of my driveway, had the car towed, his permit suspended, and then later in court, the case was dismissed, but my car was still in storage, and I couldn't get my car out, so I lost my car because the cop illegally pulled someone over because he did not have any suspicion that he was doing anything, and he did nothing wrong, but now I have my car. I am without a car now because of that, and I don't think I'll ever be able to afford a new car.
Well, so I do have one story that's kind of ridiculous. There was just one time I barely tapped this woman on the rear end of her car, and she apparently it was a new car or something like that, so she wanted to get the police involved and everything like that. Like there was literally maybe like a paint scratch on her back fender, and so we got the cop there and everything like that. We had to pull off to the side. He was doing everything. And in the midst of all this, he's checking her license plate, and her license plate is registered to a completely different car. And when he asked her about it, she's like, "Well, we just got this new car, and we thought that you just took the license plate from the old car and put it on the new car, and you're fine."
I don't have an oven mitt with me, John.
And she didn't get anything for that. She got a warning from the cop. Like it was, I don't know. I felt like if it was a different situation, like somebody might have been arrested, but I don't know. I can't say that for sure.
But
I'm guessing she was beautiful.
She was geriatric.
I'm assuming she flirted then. since you didn't say she was beautiful, I'm assuming she must have flirted with the cop, batted her eyes, and got out of the ticket.
Well, no, I mean she was just an older white woman that had
Oh, there you go. There you go. Right there. You said it right there. Never mind.
Oh, I didn't know, officer.
But there is one thing that this isn't a good example of with the police officer. That police belong to a group of occupations like firemen, cleaning staff, medical personnel, that has the downside that you really do not consider them unless something's wrong. So you never appreciate the good they do because you don't see it. And then you get this, the cleaning people don't need to have good pay because they don't do anything. Oh, yeah, sure. Or police, they only interfere or whatever. And you never think about the fact that we want them there. They do good stuff, but you don't see it.
Yeah, they do.
You hear about the bad stuff, you don't hear about the good stuff. So
exactly.
Yeah, that whole situation has always been very complex to me because I remember a few years ago hearing a story about how there was some kind of like inner disagreement with the Black Lives Matter movement because like one particular chapter was working with the police to hold a community event and was trying to promote a good police force working with the community in order to make it safer in general. And then another Black Lives Matter movement center or chapter or something like that, like totally like shit on that other Black Lives Matter movement for doing that with the police because they had a very anti-cop stance. And in my opinion, if you want to build relationships with a good relationship between community and police and all that, you really need those very positive, police community interactions. And of course, this is an outsider's look view of it because I've never been a cop and I've never been in a community that's been either targeted by police or has a very poor relationship with the police. So it's very much an outsider's perspective of it, but I would think that the community and the police working together could only be like a positive thing, to show to people.
I mean, it's
for the most part, police departments are part of the community. They come from that same community too. So, again, small towns sometimes it's nicer because that's someone's cousin or whatever. And whereas in big cities, but like you said before, like Chris said, we only hear about the bad stuff. The news never reports the good things until the last 15 seconds. When they have to send everyone off with a smile. So, but anyway, I had to join for a few minutes. I have to run. Enjoyed talking to you all. Have a great day.
Yeah, it was good seeing you, Michael.
Take care.
I really love talking to everybody that watches my stuff, so I appreciate you stopping by.
I'll check in soon. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, see you, Mike.
Bye, man.
Bye.
We had one last super chat from Space Kamakama. The rhetoric asked if she was white / pretty funny, but still, you get my point.
Sorry about that. Mute.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, Nate, I said, yeah, sorry. More, that's all.
But I think that's pretty much all that I have time for too. We've got to go and do a family thing here in a minute. So, do you guys have anything that you wanted to get off your chest or something you didn't get a chance to talk about?
Not really. Watch my beer videos.
Yeah, I need to get caught up on your beer videos there, Arduin. I really do.
Can I ask a question? If anybody has a tip of, is there any good free or mostly free software in order if I want to start doing my own YouTube videos? Because I don't have any recording experience.
Right. Well, for like live streaming and even like recording your webcam type stuff, OBS is really good software. Open broadcasting software, I believe it's called. That's really simple to use and easy.
I'll try it in that case.
Yeah, OBS is pretty easy to use. I used it back when I actually did video game. game videos. Damn, I can't talk.
Yeah. I used to have a list of editors that were free that you could use, and I can't think off the top of my head what they are, but I'll definitely try to get back to you on some free editors and stuff. But I would say OBS is really good software to use if you're looking for, doing that. Also, a really good editor that they've worked into the YouTube system is the YouTube editor. So, I mean, it's not all that fancy. You can pretty much just cut up your video and whatnot after you've uploaded it, but it works pretty well. And it has a fairly quick turnaround time. So, I mean, if you need to edit something on the fly, that's really good. So just some ideas. I'll get back with you, Torbjorn, about some free editing software too.
Yeah, I'll check these out in the meantime. Thanks.
Yeah, I used one that wasn't free, but I actually thought it was actually pretty cheap. I use Movavi.
Oh yes, Movavi, that's a good one.
And I love it. I can do pretty much everything I want with it.
Well, the ones that I've been looking at has been Kden Live and also DaVinci Resolve. But those are, I know they're Linux. They're on the Linux platform. I don't know if there's a Windows version or not. But those are. I know Kden Live is a free version. I think DaVinci Resolve is also, but I won't swear to that.
Yeah, I think most applications on Linux or that are primarily on Linux are probably going to be free, because most of those are very open source type of systems.
Well, you've given me something to check at least. Thanks.
Yeah. And hey, anytime you have any kind of questions, feel free to email me. It's just godlessengineering@gmail.com, and I can try to help you out. I'm a little backed up on my emails, but as long as you actually send the email, I'm looking at you, Jonathan.
Yeah, I know. I was going to tell you that I was trying to get it out today, but in that same sense, the draft folder has been getting kind of long for me too.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to put in a plug for Field Day, which is a national ham radio operator event that we started at 2 o'clock this afternoon. It'll be continuing on until 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And we just get on the air and try to make as many contacts. And I was taking a break and saw that you're live, and that's why I came in. So.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm glad that you were able to be here, Chris. I really do like it when you guys pop in here to chat. We got another super chat from Fletch in the chat. Free today, I learned when I got home from the UAE, I got a jury summons. There were 3 groups selected for juries for different cases. The jury right after mine was the Mike Brown grand jury. That's crazy.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah. Well, guys, like I said, I really appreciate everybody joining today, giving me your thoughts about the direction of the channel, which seems to be, keep doing what you're doing. And I'm going to try to focus more on the anti-science type stuff, which is going to overlap into the religious arena. But, I'm going to try to focus on the anti-science part of it. And so I hope that you guys like what I got coming up in the next month or two. More KC, apparently.
Yeah, I kind of missed KC's today, I learned.
Yeah, I was going to say, today I learned.
Yes, we need more today I learned.
Those were the highlight of my day.
So apparently she's going to be done with school in October. So today I learned will probably come back in October, November timeframe.
Good luck with the last. Good luck with the last trials of school, Casey.
Yeah.
Good luck.
She's trying. Well, we're going to head on out of here, guys. So y'all that are watching, I hope that you guys have a lovely day. And don't forget to stand up and use your voice. And we'll be seeing you heathens later.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
See ya.